on YouTube. Facebook. So now I know not to trust my my Apple Watch with the time. I haven't been synced to my phone since I got a new iPhone, like, I don't know, 2 years ago. And apparently it's a little bit off. So I apologize for being late. Let's see. That light is really, really bright this morning, which is a good thing. It's a good thing, right? I'm gonna hold tight for just another little second since I'm a little bit messed up. Yeah, my brain's not quite awake yet this morning, apparently. All right. So I think we're good. So this morning we're going to do things a little bit differently. We are definitely going to work our sun salutes. Right? We're going to do them a little bit earlier in the practice, so I thought we'd start off a little slower than we normally do with our sun salutes, and just kind of work into them and then really go after it. And then we're going to do some standing poses, a little sequence that I haven't done in a while, and it can be a little challenging. So if your balance is a little wonky, or if you just feel like you want a little bit of support, maybe go ahead and grab a block or whatever you have handy, just so you can have something to kind of catch you, so to speak. It could be the floor, it's fine if it's the floor, but if you need a little extra, an extra lift there, you'll have it available for you when we get to that little sequence. And then we'll do a little bit of everything else as well, so we're nice and rounded and everything feels good at the end, right? But the rule is always to listen to your body, and when your body is telling you, yeah, I don't really like that so much, right? Then we listen. And if it's a pose that can be adjusted, then certainly adjust it. And if it's a pose that just isn't working out for you for whatever reason, then don't do it. And if you do have questions about those things, certainly feel free to reach out. And if I can help you with a modification, I certainly will. All right. So that's where we're headed today. Let's go ahead and start standing here. Feet underneath the hip bones, right? So take a little peek down and just make sure they're where you think they are. Right? We tend to stand a little bit with our toes out. Typically, some people toes in. That might be a normal thing for you. Well, right, not necessarily that it's a good normal, but that might be something that you struggle with, and that's what we work on, right? Feel your four corners of your feet, and then press down into the floor. Try to relax your toes, though. It's not about your toes, it's about the feet. A little bit of a tuck of the tailbone as we lift the pelvic floor, lower belly in and up. The sides are strong and tall, but the upper belly is relaxed. Try to relax your shoulders, let your arms hang down by your sides. Closing your eyes, bring your ears back until you feel the weight of your head over your shoulders. And then just stand here for a moment and be present and notice the sensations that you're experiencing, whatever that might be. Whether it's a lower back thing, whether it's a shoulder thing, whether it's your feet. Just really notice what rises to your awareness. And bring that same awareness to your breath. Breathing all through the nose, begin to expand. And if you need a little assistance with grounding, see about maybe paying a little bit more attention to your exhalations than your inhalations. Normally it's the inhale that we think about more, right? See if you can really kind of get connected to and aware of those exhalations. We want to keep the awareness where it is and add on. Inhaling as we stretch the arms up to the ceiling. Exhaling, come on back down again. Again like that. And going once more. Back to the top. And then exhale just the right hand back toward the mat. Keep your shoulders relaxed. We're going to tip and hinge over to that right side a little bit. So keeping the left shoulder back. You may need to look at the floor. You keep your eyes closed, I suppose. You can look up at the ceiling. Stay even in your feet. Let's take another big breath and then inhale, come on back to the top. And switch sides. Take that left hand down and slowly start to tip over to your left. Again, stay nice and even in your feet. Excuse me. With the inhale, come on back to the top again and switch the right hand back down. Tipping a little bit deeper this time if you're able. Big full breaths. Back up to the top, inhaling. And then over to the left again. Next inhale, bring it back to the top. And we'll exhale, release the arms. So standing nice and tall here, extend the arms parallel to the floor. And we're going to take the right hand and reach forward and the left hand and reach back. And then just let your body adjust and shift. Like sometimes that right knee will pop forward, maybe the weight shifts left to right foot. Let all that happen, it's fine. You'll feel your left hip drop back. Come on back to the center and switch sides. So the left hand forward and the right hand up. Releasing that back to the middle again here. Go ahead and release your arms, maybe wiggle out, readjust your feet if you got really off there. And we're going to do that again. Then we're going to change it up a little bit this time. So extend the arms out parallel to the floor. This time, keep your feet, knees, and hips exactly where they are. And now take your right hand forward and your left hand out. So you're not going to twist as far. Don't worry about that. The Wednesday, I don't have one. Take your arms and wrap them around your body. So take that right hand to the left hip. Left hand goes back behind your back, around toward that right hip. And then just kind of draw against the pelvis there. So you're trying to rotate your upper body around a little bit more, or maybe just level out your pelvis a little bit more. Right? Again, don't worry about the depth of your twist. Stand nice and tall. And then gently release the hips. Come on back to center. Release your arms for a second. Maybe wiggle them around. Everyone second side. So the arms parallel to the floor. Left hand forward, right hand back. Same idea, working to keep your feet, your knees, your hips as square to the top of the mat as you can. And then taking the arms, wrap them again. Gently draw the right hip forward or the torso around. Wherever you're feeling that sensation, stand extra tall and take a couple of nice big breaths. And then gently release that back to the middle. Release your arms, roll them around. And then to the top of the mat if you're not already there. Standing nice and tall here, we're going to work into those sun slopes, like I said, but we're going to take our time with them, right? So let's inhale, stretch the arms out toward the ceiling. Bring your palms together and relax your shoulders here. Try and keep your arms straight-ish, but if there needs to be a little bend, there it is. Right? Belly in, tailbone down toward the floor. Maybe open your chest toward the ceiling a little bit, keeping your head in line with the upper arms. So a little bit of a back bend, nothing crazy. And then gently bring yourself back to a neutral position and swan dive into a forward fold. Take your time, support your hands on your legs if you need. Down your shins, maybe you touch the floor, maybe you don't. And then how about walking in place a little bit here? Just moving into this forward fold, nice and slow. And then coming to a center, so the legs are straight, hands are where they need to be, shoulders back. Inhale, come halfway up here. And then exhale into your fold, bringing the palms to the floor. We're gonna step ourselves back into a plank. Let's start off on the knees, and we're just gonna hold for a little second to check in with the alignment. So 4 corners of the hands, even into the mat. Shoulders down and back. We don't wanna sag through, we don't wanna push away. Find that middle. Make sure your belly's working. And then really slow as you possibly can. Keep this straight line from the crown of your head to your knees, elbows tight to the sides, and slowly lower down to the floor. Hopefully that wasn't too awful. Keeping the tail nose, or I don't know what that was, the toenails onto the floor here. Inhale, roll your shoulders up by your ears, together on your back, down toward your hip bones, and then release that. So we're just doing big shoulder shrugs with the breath. You may find your shoulders start to get a little bit more open, and you can get a little bit more lift. Try to use just your shoulders, back and belly. We're going to do one more of those. And then just release to the floor. Press down into the knees. Engage your lower belly. Make sure that's still working for you. And just like we came down, we're going to try and lift up, keeping the straight line from the crown of the head to the knees. Nice and slow. Back into kneeling plank. And then let's go ahead and sit back into a child's pose. Let the arms stretch long. You can have your knees a little wider or a little closer together. That's just preference. Ground into the 4 corners of the palms. Make sure your belly's still working here, and we're going to lift into a down dog. Let yourself wiggle. Slide it on the mat. And then settling into that down dog, stretch through the heels. Don't worry if they don't touch the floor. Press your chest back. And with an inhale, we're going to step the feet forward, come back to our standing fold. 1 step or 10, whatever it takes to get your toes to your fingers. And then inhale, come halfway up again. Draw the shoulders together on the back. Exhale over. This time, come all the way up. Stretch to the ceiling. And release the arms. So putting that into motion, right? Same idea though. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, take yourself into a fold. Halfway up on your inhale. Exhaling, stepping back to your plank. Knees, if you like knees, of course, that same idea. Straight line, slow and controlled to the belly. Inhale and roll into the shoulders, opening up into a little bit deeper cobra if you're ready. Exhale, everything up off the floor together, back to your down dog. You can definitely go through a child's pose if you need. And then inhale, step the feet forward, back to the fold again. Halfway up on your next inhale. Fold back over. Reaching up. And exhaling, release. So you have one more like that, that'll be your third, right? And then we'll start to add on. So, this one you're on your own, listening to your body, using your breath. Okay? Let's, one more, just like we did. Inhale and lift. And go. All right. So you should be able to do those in your sleep pretty much. Right? Mostly. So we're going to add on with the next two. Right? And again, just follow your breath. Take an extra breath here and there if you need it for sure. And inhaling, this time we sit in a chair. Exhaling, take yourself over into the fold. Halfway up. Exhaling back to plank. All the way down to the belly. Into cobra. And then back down dog. Right foot steps forward. Come to lunge. Drop the back heel or knee and lift the upper body. Exhale, bring it back down again and into down dog. Inhaling, slide forward, plank. Exhale down. Cobra. Exhale, down dog. So then the left foot this time steps forward. Heel or knee to the mat and lift. Back down again. And into down dog. Forward for plank. Down to the belly. Cobra. And down dog. So hold this down dog or drop to child's pose if you need a little extra break here. Slowing down the breath, reconnecting. If you dropped into child's pose, lift back to down dog. And then with the next inhale, step the feet forward into the fold again. Halfway up with that next inhale. Back into the fold. Into chair. Exhale, release. We're going to add in one more of those today. So again, always looking to expand, and whether that means just doing more, right? Or weaving something else in, right? To your practice, always adding little bits and pieces and see how that feels for you. And if it works, great. And if you want to try something else. So let's start again here, inhaling into chair. Exhaling into the fold. Halfway up. Back to plank. And fold down. Inhaling cobra. Back to down dog. Right foot forward in the lunge. The same inhalation drops the back knee or heel and lifts the upper body. And then we exhale and reverse that back to down dog. Forward into plank. Down to the belly. Cobra. Down dog. And then it's the left foot's turn, bringing it forward. Heel or knee, lifting. Back down. Into down dog. Forward for plank. And down. Cobra. And down dog. Holding here or dropping into child's pose. Lifting back into down dog if you did drop down. Inhaling as we step the feet forward into the fold. Halfway up. And over. Into chair. And exhale to the top. So, the next little piece is that standing balance that I was talking about earlier. So if you do need or want the block, just kind of, again, have it available to you at the top of the mat-ish. Right? And really make sure we're grounding into the feet wherever they happen to be and keeping that lower belly engaged. Right? Really solidifying your core to help stabilize the rest of the body. And if you start getting really wobbly, bring the arms in, right? Bring them closer to the body rather than having them out like a sail. So we're gonna start off in plain old triangle, big step back with the left foot. So for now, the body is open to the side of your mat, not the floor, not the top of your mat, as much as possible. So right toes point forward, left toes are cut in a little. We'll extend the arms, keeping the upper body in the same plane as your lower body. So if you feel your chest coming forward toward the floor, just open it up again. Let's stretch forward over the right toes and bring the right hand down and the left hand up. And if you need to lean on this leg, we lean on the leg, not on the knee, right? But if you need a little support there, feel free. So really opening up the side of the body here. We're going to take a couple more breaths. And then let's take this idea into a balance pose. So bring your left hand to your hip, look down at your right foot, and the right hand comes forward. So you may rotate toward the floor a little bit here if you need to. You gotta open back up again. So do what you need to do. Bring the left toes in a little and maybe lift them up off the floor. So ideally the right leg is straight and the left leg is parallel-ish to the floor. Again, here, if you need a block, use the block for sure. Keeping the body open to this side as much as you can. You can absolutely extend that left arm toward the ceiling again if that's something you need. And then instead of being open toward the side, go ahead and drop this left hip toward the floor. So squaring it up, keep the left toes off the mat. Parallel to the floor if it is, block if you need. And then maybe you don't need your right hand on the floor, and the hands can support on the thigh. Lie back down towards your hips, out to the sides, forward if that's you. Listening to your body. Keep your belly working like crazy. Bring the left hand to the floor or your block. And now rotate your belly button to the right. Nothing else changed. Take a big breath. Keep the twist. Bend into the knee and step the left foot back. Yeah? Slide your left hand back maybe by your right foot. And take your right leg straight-ish. We're gonna reverse that. So bend into the right knee, reach the left hand forward, keep the twist if you can, lift your left toes back up off the floor. Release the twist, come back to hip. Feeling it? Use your belly. And then step way back, bend into the right knee, step way back. We're going to come back to triangle where we started. One more breath. And then inhaling, come up. Release your arms and step back to the top of your mat. Good. So that's what we're going to do on the same side, on the second side. So listening to your body, we're going to know where we're going, modify, take that block, whatever it is that you need. Take your time, skip a piece, you know. Okay? So, right foot back. Check out your feet here. They are gonna change, right? But set them where you want them. Extend the arms, reach forward, and hinge over. Let's balance. So right hand to the hip, bend into the left knee, reach forward, hop those right toes in until you're ready to lift them away from the floor. And again here, we're open to the side. And then we're not, so drop that right hip around, rotate toward the floor. And then again, whether you need your fingertips to help, they're supporting, you're flying, whatever. Strong and steady on that left foot. Switching it up then, bring the right hand to the floor, left hand to the hip, add in your twist, rotating the belly to the left. Let's go back to warrior three. No. Step the right foot way back. I almost forgot about revolving triangle. So right foot's back, left leg is straight here, and we're still in that twist-ish. Now, back to revolved half moon. Bending into the knee, lifting the right toes away from the floor. Keeping the twist as much as we can. And now back to your warrior three, rotating the belly toward the floor, flying the hands, supporting wherever you need them. Left hand to the mat. Open the right hip. And then bend back into the knee. Let's come back to our triangle. And then inhaling as you hinge back up again. Releasing the arms and stepping back to the top of the mat. Sometimes I forget stuff, but you gotta be even. You gotta be even. So, good. Using that belly really makes a big difference. So just kind of stay connected to it and it'll come eventually. So left foot back, nice big step. We're gonna move into a straddle here. So toes point forward or they're parallel to each other or however your brain sees this. Belly's in, hands on the hips, support on the legs if you feel like you need that support. And we're gonna come halfway over. So parallel-ish to the floor. Keeping the weight even in the feet, shoulders back and down. And slowly into whatever your full fold looks like. And into the knees if you need. We're gonna take the fingertips to the floor. And then turn the toes out toward the corners. With the breath here on an exhale, bend into the right knee. Let your hips kind of shift. Coming back to the top, to the middle. And exhale over to the left. So we're gonna move side to side like that, connected to the breath. And as you bend into the knee, if you need to open your feet or turn your toes in or out, make sure your knee is stacking over your ankle.
One more on each side. And then back to center again. When you're back to the middle, turn the toes to point forward. And then bend your knees if you need to. Take the index and middle fingers and wrapping them around your big toes. Straight legs if you can. Elbows bent out to the sides. We're going to pull against the toes, maybe draw a little deeper into that stretch. Releasing the toes. Take the fingers to interlace behind the lower back. Pulling the shoulder blades together. Stretch the knuckles away. And then release the hands back to the mat. So keeping this wide stance, we're going to bring the hands forward, walk forward, and then let your hips come down as if you were doing plank. But then let the hips sink lower than that. Belly's in. Releasing that, let's come back to our straddle fold. Do it again. Walk forward. Let the hips come down. And then back. One more time. And back again. And instead of walking forward, turn your fingers around and point behind. Keep your feet even. You don't want to fall over on your butt or lean back here. We're just taking the hands as far back as they'll go. So maybe you're super excited that you have your hands on the floor with your legs straight, then don't worry about all this, right? But if you can rock the hands back a little bit, you might be able to draw yourself into a little deeper fold. Walking the hands back in. Walk the hands around to your right foot, lunging to the top of the mat, and then stepping back to down dog. We'll drop it to the knees and sit back in child's pose. So stretching the arms out long here, we're going to shift ourselves into kneeling plank. And you are welcome to be in full planks here if you know where you're going. We're going to start off with the right foot to the right side of the mat. Keep the right knee on the floor. And then rotate over the body to the left here. Right hand, right knee, and left toes in the plane as if you were standing up. And again here, you can totally be in a full side plank, extending the right leg under. You can stack your feet, have one in front of the other. You can take the kickstand variation if that's you. Taking this left arm up. Stretch the arm alongside the ear. Lift your hips a little bit. And then gently release that, making your way back to kneeling plank. And back to a child's pose. So the side planks have tons of variations, and you are welcome to go wherever your body leads you. Coming forward, kneeling plank. Full if you want full already. Otherwise, that left foot out to the left. Opening the body to the right. And then adding in the pieces that are right. So whether that's a full side plank, kickstand, reaching up and over. Lifting the hips a little bit, maybe. You're breathing, right? And then making your way back to kneeling plank. and child's pose. We're gonna kind of sit up on the heels here. And if this is absolutely a no-go, don't worry about it and just come to your bottom. We may end up playing a little bit deeper here. And again, if this is all right, modify it. If it's just not good, forget it. Try this one more down. So you can totally stay on your heels. Or you can grab that handy little block. Open your knees and feet enough to be able to slip that block, however high you need it, right, underneath your bottom. So sometimes keeping the hips a little higher makes this more accessible. Again, if it isn't, it isn't, and we just pass it off. Skip it. So either way, let me scoot back a little bit, sorry. Move around a lot. So either way here, whether you're sitting on your heels, you have your feet open, you have your bottom on your block or on the floor. We're going to bring the upper body forward, leave your shins where they are, and drop down to the belly. And you can practice some extra little chaturangas there. So press down into the floor with your pelvis, your belly, the tops of your thighs, grounding the tailbone toward the heels. And then press yourself back up and sit back between your feet, or on your heels, or on your block. Just like in that wide straddle, do it again, come forward. Drop down, and press into the floor. Push back up, sit back between the heels. One more time like that, come forward. Drop it. Pressing down. And then pushing back up. Sitting back between the heels again. So if sitting on your heel is where you need to be, or sitting propped up on a block is where you need to be, this is where you're going to stay until you're done with it, and then you come out of there and just sit on your bottom. Right? But if this is like, I could be here all day long, not all day long, but you know, see about taking your hands back to the tops of your feet. Yeah. Keep your tailbone tucked a little bit. Again, we never want to pinch up that lower back. And if this is fine, keep your shins doing what they're doing, and see about bringing an elbow to the floor. Shoulders to the floor, feel free to go there. And if that's still no big deal, you can take your arms overhead and grab your opposite elbow. Try not to let your head just drop back. We're going to take just a couple more breaths wherever you are. Use your belly and gently bring yourself back up. Shoulders to elbows, elbows to hands. Gently come forward. Nice and easy into a tabletop. And then you can roll your ankles, tap your feet, stretch your legs, whatever your body wants from you right now. Opening the knees nice and wide. Go ahead and sit back into child's pose variation here. Walking the hands back in. Let's come to the bottom and stretch your legs out. So you may already be here. And stretch the legs out nice and long. Take inner thigh rotation, so you're upright on your pelvis, the belly's working here. Flex your feet. We'll stretch the arms up. Keep the shoulders down and back as we hinge forward into a fold. Let your hands fall where they do. That might be your toes, it might not be. Let's take another nice big breath. Keeping the belly engaged as we inhale, lift back up. Release your arms. Take the hands behind the body. Fingers point behind you. Keep the hands roughly shoulder width apart. And your legs can stay extended, or you can take your feet flat to the floor, whatever works best. Keep the belly engaged and see about walking your hands back here. Try not to let them get too wide. And see where they'll go. If you tend to hyperextend your joints, think little baby bend in your elbows. One more nice big breath. And then let's bring it back in. Roll the shoulders around. Grabbing opposite elbow. These are shoulders. Grab your opposite shoulder. Interesting way. I think maybe I had too much caffeine. So elbows stacking-ish. Yeah. Keep the elbows where they are. Release your shoulders. And then see if you can wind your fingers around to find your palms. And you can adjust a little bit. Right? But find where the stretch is. So if grabbing the shoulders is as good as it's going to get, then it is. Relax your shoulders. You can lift your elbows. And again, here, your legs can be extended, your feet can be flat, whatever makes you happy there. We just worked our arms a lot, so let's gently release that. And now the opposite elbow on top. So again, this might be good. Stacking those elbows. Releasing the shoulders, maybe winding the fingers around, adjusting your elbows. You can grab opposite palm or not. Relax your shoulders, lift your elbows maybe. Take your hands closer or further from your face. Find a nice stretch, whatever that looks like. And then gently release it. And here, let your shoulders stretch around a little bit. And then making sure you have some mat behind you here. Grabbing onto your hamstrings. Lift your chest. Lift your toes. Try to use your belly more than your arms. And lift your shins parallel to the floor. Keep the knees hugged in. Maybe take your legs straight. Don't let them go. Even if your toes are still on the floor, let go. Bring the soles of the feet together, grab onto the ankles. Lift your chest. And then roll back, tuck the chin, and hit the floor. Soles of the feet stay together, let the feet come to the floor, relax your inner hips. And then we're going to bring the knees together. And gently draw those knees into the chest and rock. So take the feet to the floor. And if you do still have that little block handy, you can use it here as well if you want to. It's just an option. We're going to work into a bridge here. So arms nice and tight on the sides of the body. Ponytail's in the wrong spot, sorry. The back of the head is on the floor, right? Not your neck, right? That back of the head. We want to press down into that. Turn the tailbone toward the knees a little bit, get a little bit of a pelvic tilt there. Press down into the triceps and pull your heels towards your hips, lifting your hips away from the floor. Yeah. So how's your neck feel? Make sure that's all neutral. And there's tons of things to do from here. You can stay for sure. You can rest here by setting your hips down on that block, right? Keep it really nice and easy and gentle, right? You can bring it up higher. You can interlace your fingers behind your back. You can have your hips on a block or not, lifting one leg and then maybe the other. Just kind of play with it and see where your body feels best this morning. Take a couple more breaths in whatever variation you've chosen. And then gently bring it on down. Sit with your feet, your hips and your feet flat on the floor. Just a breath or two. And then draw the knees into the chest again and rock. Let's take the feet flat to the floor. Extend the arms out into a T position here. Picking up the hips, move them to the right edge of the mat and drop the knees to the left. And so we all know, right? You can just keep this super simple and just melt into this easy little twist. Try to relax your shoulders, maybe look over your right hand, right? Or just make it really, really lovely. Or you can make this a ton of work. Okay, not a ton, but more, right? Extending either just your right leg, toes toward your left hand. You can extend both legs. Pressing through the right heel, stretching through the right fingers in opposite directions. Be crossing your legs here if you feel like that's better. Just kind of play and see. And if you just, again, need an easy little twist, just let gravity do it all. We've got just a couple more breaths over on this side, so if you want to change it up, change it up. And then undo what you did and come back to the middle. All right, taking the second side. Same idea, starting off with the hips left and the knees right. And then you decide where to go from here. Whether you're just resting, whether you want to make it more work, or even just resting with the legs extended. You can still get that, right? You don't have to really stretch out left heel and left fingertips to enjoy the leg straight variation. You can rest in that as well. Taking a couple more breaths over on this side. And then making your way back to the middle. When you're back to center again, go ahead and draw the knees into the chest one last time. And then squeezing in good and tight, bring your forehead toward your knees. Release it out into a full body stretch. And release the arms, release the stretch. Bring your arms back down by your sides and find whatever Shavasana is going to look like. Check in that you feel aligned. And then let go. The muscles, release your breath. No more work, nothing else to do. Allow yourself the next few minutes to simply be. Slowly draw in a deep, cleansing breath, and then let it go. Wiggling fingers and toes, moving and stretching through your arms and your legs. Take another full body stretch if you like. Keeping the eyes closed and the mind quiet, slowly make your way back up to a seated position. We'll bring the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. Yay, yoga. So, I think I'm doing something a little bit different next weekend. Asana, what we practice here, is just a very small piece of what it is to actually practice yoga. So I think I'm going to incorporate a little bit of that next weekend. So if you're curious, definitely make sure you make it. And if you have any ideas or suggestions or comments or any questions about modifying something, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Thank you.